My point is, my experience in politics has been the Democrats have challenged more than Republicans. To be fair,
Have
Trump's
challenged the court?
challenged the elections more than the Republicans have, in extreme ways.
That's ridiculous.
All right, guys, things are heating up between Bill Maher and Tim Pool on this episode of Club Random. You can totally feel the tension. Bill's locked in, just waiting for Tim to bite so he can stir the pot. This is about to get interesting. Let's jump into it.
And I'm not in. I think one of the problems that we've seen over the past several years with Trump is the immediate assumption that he's a crazy person all the time. And so the only thing I can say is, well, look, I vote for the guy. I think this is probably doesn't make sense to me, but I'll see what happens and we'll see if it makes sense. Selective tariffs, I think, do make sense. But I do think that the way the Democratic Party has handled opposition has guaranteed the kind of Trumpian politics.
Well, I'm sure you heard about my little trip to the White House.
Absolutely.
And
very impressed.
Thank you. And the thing that upset the far left so much, these same people who believe in the crazy things I was just mentioning, and the ones who really hate me, they really found a new reason to hate me, because when I came back and gave my report about it, among the things I said, to your point about everything is he crazy, was, I think, word for word, a crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV lives in the White House.
Yeah.
And they found that very triggering. But again, as I said many times during that piece, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I didn't vote for him. I think we all know that. I went right back to being as tough on him as I ever had been. So I wasn't seduced, but that was my estimation. Again, to your point about, is he just crazy? When you meet him in person and spend that kind of time, and he's not on his his attack mode thing, he does not strike you as a crazy person or a person who doesn't listen or can't hear things. Again, they were very mad at me for saying this, but that's what happened. And I am not a liar. That's my main bond with the audience. So even if I offended some people by telling the truth, in the long run, that's what I do. And they, yeah.
What I saw in 2020, I was not going to vote for Trump. I'll never vote for Trump. I don't like Trump. And I donated the max to Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. And my position, my whole thought process was, the Democrats are going crazy, and we need the moderate, sane Democrats to maintain control of this party and stop the insanity.
Correct.
And they lost.
And
so then Trump put out his statement in around August saying, we're going to ban DEI in government contracting. We're going to do these things, blah, blah, blah. No new wars was big for me. I'm a very, anti-interventionist for a lot of reasons. And so I said, I guess I'm voting for Trump. Instantly, it was like the liberals, even YouTube, they all said, we're going to move your name over to this list. I kid you not. There's representatives at YouTube. They told me straight up that the liberal rep was no longer representing me and they were switching me to a conservative rep. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not that I like who Trump is or that I'm thinking that conservatives have a good policy. I'm pro-choice. The issue is that you can look at it right now. There's no charismatic leaders. There's no front runners. There's no policy position. It seems like the only thing they have is the right is bad, Trump is bad. And so I'm asking, what are our plans?
No, they have Democrats have policy positions on everything, and many of them are, I think, preferable to Republican policy positions. Number one being they concede elections. That's kind of a big one with me. They listen to what courts say.
I don't know about that.
You don't think they listen to what courts say? I mean,
So Joe Biden
that's
ignored the court rulings twice on forgiving student loans and then tried to decree the Equal Rights Amendment.
That's true. That's true.
Things are getting real between Bill Maher and Tim Pool on Club Random. Tim isn't holding back. He's explaining why he might vote for Donald Trump, not because he agrees with him personally, but because he feels pushed away by the Democratic Party's approach. He even shares how YouTube reassigned him to a conservative representative after he voiced openness to Trump's policies like avoiding new wars and limiting DEI programs. Tim Pool emphasizes that he's still pro-choice and values truth over party loyalty, but believes the left's reaction to Trump has only strengthened his support. Bill Maher listens closely, ready to engage, and you can tell this conversation is just heating up.
There are arguments. Of course, the Republicans, that just works for them, because there are issues like what you mentioned, which is not untrue, where it's so easy for them to go, well, they did this, so we're going to do it 5 times worse. And then they do. But there are some like that. But there's one that has no fuzz on it, and that's elections. When Democrats lose elections, it's over the next day. Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton,
not Hillary Clinton,
just
not Al Gore.
Well, Al Gore was not Al Gore doing that. That election was obviously decided by 537 votes. There was an absolute, when it's that close, there should be a recount. And whether that recount went the right way, we'll never know, because that state was run by Catherine Harris and Jeb Bush.
There's a real, sorry to interrupt, but there's a really good, I guess, I don't know if you call it a philosophical point that I've noticed that I think you're experiencing right now is I'm 39. So you lived through a lot of these administrations and these political cycles.
Yeah.
And you have experiences that I don't even know they exist.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't live through Lincoln, but I know about it.
Sure. My point is, my experience in politics has been the Democrats have challenged more than Republicans. To be fair,
Have
Trump's
challenged the court?
challenged the elections more than the Republicans have, in extreme ways.
That's ridiculous.
So, but perhaps because you're older than me and you've seen more than I have.
Again, there are history books, there's newspapers.
I know.
You don't know something only because you lived through it. I know about the French Revolution also.
My point is,
I mean, you could know about this.
Indeed.
I mean, this is something that people your age say all the time, and I've made fun of it before. Like, it's this, like, if I wasn't alive for it, it didn't happen. I don't have to know about it.
But that's
no,
not what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
Okay, but
I'm saying that in 2016, I didn't vote for either Trump or Hillary, and then I got 3 years of Trump as working for the Russians.
he was not working for the Russians.
Jonathan Chait went on MSNBC and said he may have been a Soviet asset since the 80s.
Well,
and so for me, I'm like, I'm out. This is crazy. And so, like, understand, and I'm not saying you're wrong about history. I'm saying that experiencing a political cycle over years is different from reading the condensed history books, which of course I do. So to live through 4 years of a president, their term, every single moment, the history books gloss over most of those experiences that we don't have as young people. So I have people on my show who are 25, and one of the people who works for us says nothing ever happens. She's 24. And this is like a Gen Z thing. Nothing ever happens. And I said, are you kidding? The past 10 years have been nothing but happenings.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. When she was 14, she wasn't paying attention to politics. When she was around 20 years old and started, this was the natural state of politics in her experience. So this is basic. This is normal. And for me, it's crazy. And I think for you, it's crazy. But they grew up in this and they've normalized it. So my view is this, not to say that you're wrong, obviously. My point is, when I watched the Democrats accuse Trump and Manafort and Carter Page and all of these things, especially when they fabricated evidence against Carter Page, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe the Democrats are going to this length to deny an election.
You're watching a little too much Fox News or somebody who's slanting this a certain way. I mean, Paul Manafort was sharing polling information with a GRU agent.
And do you know how they found out about that?
How did they find out about that?
Ukrainian government officials shared it with the Democratic Party.
So?
Politico reported that. So you have this Ukrainian interference in our election as reported by Politico. And I look at that and I go, wow, the Ukrainian government sent incriminating evidence to the Democrats? Crazy story. Then they claimed
But it was true.
And indeed. And the issue is, why wasn't that a scandal? That the Ukrainians were interfering in the election?
Let's not get, because this is a friendly thing, let's not get into the weeds on like the Russia thing. First of all, it's like 5 years old, so people are bored with it. Okay, but I'll just say this in general.
This conversation really highlights how lived experience shapes political beliefs. Tim Pool argues that from his perspective, Democrats have more frequently challenged election outcomes, pointing to Russiagate and media narratives as examples. Bill Maher, drawing from a longer view of history, suggests that election denial isn't one-sided. What makes this discussion compelling is how it reflects a broader generational divide, whether we judge by what we've personally lived through or by what history records. Both make thoughtful points without resorting to partisan cheap shots.
It'd be hard to argue with it, I think, but I'll just say it, and maybe we can just move on. Whatever it was, I don't think Trump was a Russian asset. Uh, Don Jr. at one point said, or maybe it was Eric, we do get a lion's share of our to the company from the Russians. So there was obviously a lot of involvement with the Russians. Um, Trump was asked at his first press conference, and he said, I have no dealings with the Russians. It's a total, complete lie. They had nothing. That's not illegal.
Yeah.
But it's it just looks suspicious to say I don't know anything about the Russia. I have no idea. And then I don't know anybody who's talking to the Russians. Everybody in the administration, Michael Flynn was prosecuted for it. Was talking to the Russians. He said on TV, Russia, if you're listening, I want your help with something. Okay, whether you think that's good or bad, it was completely unprecedented.
Hmm.
So, the idea that he should not have been investigated for there's a lot of smoke here with Trump and Russia. To me, okay, I'm sure they overdid it as everybody overdoes everything. But there was a lot of smoke, enough to investigate, and what he was asking another country to do in our elections publicly was unprecedented. We always had one rule in this country: we're going to go against each other. Yes, Republican, Democrat, we'll do whatever it takes, but we don't bring in ringers from outside.
Ukraine.
What they brought that in the same election? You're
I forgot.
saying?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the woman. This is on Politico. You can just read their story. It was I can't remember the guy's name who reported it.
No, it's possible that, again, there's always some
So-
version of it on the other side. It's just not as egregious, I think.
They're accusing me of working for the Russians now, and or they tried. And so here's the story. I get contacted by a conservative personality. I've got 3 shows that I host, several that I have staff that host. One of them is called The Culture War.
Right.
We produced it for 2 years, Friday mornings, similar to this, sometimes debates. And I was reached out by 3 different companies who said, we want to license something you're doing. And I said, we do our own internal ad sales. We don't need a license. Some offers were made. Some of them were really good. And I said, I'm not really interested because the ad sales I can generate exceed your licensing. So I get reached out by this company in Tennessee from a well-known, prominent conservative personality who works for one of the big companies and said, we've secured an investor. We want to license the show. We negotiated terms. Lawyer negotiated terms, market rate. Non-exclusive license for distribution. They could sell the ads on the show. I get the money, the licensing fee, which basically, I can choose to grow the show for 2 years or just license it now and take the money.
You sound like you're a naturally savvy businessman.
Maybe. Well, this didn't work out too well for me because what happened was at the end of last year, the DOJ indicted some random, I say random because they're not personalities, some Russians who were apparently in some Eastern European country, claiming that they were funneling money illicitly into this conservative company in Nashville to then promote Russian propaganda or something. The narrative now is Tim Pool was prosecuted for working for the Russians. The real story is the DOJ launched an indictment and dropped it almost immediately with no evidence, accusing a conservative personality of illicitly taking money from the Russians without evidence, destroyed the company, destroyed their lives, and then impugned the honor of anybody who had done any license agreements with a Nashville-based company.
Well, you really hit people's nerves.
But I didn't do anything.
I tell you what I'm not going to do is show up unannounced at your door in the middle of the night. Hey, Tip, it'll be like Sonny on the Causeway, it'll be the end of Bonnie and Clyde. I'll just be riddled with, boy.
It's a crazy
You got
story.
to take it as kind of a compliment. People care.
That's true. If they're not, I don't know.
But does it make your wife nervous? Does she hate it? Does she get out of the game, man?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get out of the game.
Yep.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow, this is a really revealing moment. Tim Pool isn't just defending Trump here. He's speaking from personal experience. He pushes back on the Russia collusion narrative, arguing that while Trump's behavior was unprecedented and suspicious, it didn't make him a Russian asset. But then he takes it a step further by sharing his own story, how he himself was swept up in allegations of working with Russians, simply because he licensed one of his shows to a conservative media company later investigated by the DOJ. What makes this so compelling is that Tim isn't just theorizing, he's describing how easily narratives can spiral and damage reputations, even with little evidence. He's making a larger point about guilt by association and the real-world impact of politicized investigations. Meanwhile, Bill Maher holds his ground, pointing out that Trump's openness to foreign interference was, at the very least, worthy of scrutiny. You can tell both are trying to find nuance in a debate that usually has none. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Bill Maher and Tim Pool's heated debate, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a future reaction. Let us know in the comments. Do you think the Russia investigation was justified or did it go too far? Stay tuned for more real talks and raw reactions. Until next time, stay curious.